Jaedong and Movie here. Game 5. This is going to be great, I think. This is going to be a really fun matchup. Movie, of course, need I say more, Dragoon Rush in Game 1. And it turned out to be something that's surprisingly effective against the standard 5-hatchery Zerg build, where the Zerg doesn't have that much in ground forces to defend themselves against a very, very early strong push from a unit like Dragoons. Now, the Zerg is well prepared at that point against most Zealot rushes, because they do have a lot of buildings protecting their sunken colonies. Their Hydralisks are very agile against the Zealots, especially if the Zealots don't have speed. And in addition, another point is the Zerg usually can scout a +1 Zealot attack going, coming from a mile away. They're so used to seeing that, so they get themselves prepared. But Jaedong was unprepared entirely for what happened in Game 1, where Movie went for an early range upgrade with his Dragoons. Perhaps Jaedong even thought that was a +1 air attack. Nobody knows what he was thinking. But then all of a sudden, there was about a dozen Dragoons killing everything in sight. And I think Jaedong also perhaps reacted a bit slowly. He built a lot of Hydralisks. He didn't build a lot of Zerglings. In fact, he didn't have Zergling speed, which is so important when using your Zerglings. And Hydralisks are not that great against Dragoons. I mean, they're more cost effective if you have large numbers of them, but Jaedong, caught off guard, just did not manage to build up a large enough force to ever destroy the Dragoons. I mean, the same group of Dragoons stayed on and destroyed Jaedong's base, and we'll see if Movie here has a similar plan. I mean, this is going to be the question. Is he sort of a one-shot wonder, or does he have a plan for this matchup that's going to allow him to beat Jaedong not just once, but a second time? And that is the difficult part. Jaedong has lost, the first game before against players, but he has not generally lost the second game. I mean, other players have beaten Jaedong in the past. I remember one notable example was Ganzi, but Jaedong against Ganzi, who's a Terran player, came right back, played him again, and schooled the hell out of him. That was I believe that was, the prelude to this series, in fact, the MSL Survivor Tournament, where that happened, where Ganzi beat Jaedong in the first game. Everyone was a bit shocked, and it was the same format where eventually they met in the final game, and Jaedong schooled Ganzi pretty hard. Ganzi in that game the first game went for a strange biomech attack also, which was very interesting to watch. Oh, what is Movie doing here? Okay, no, that's a standard probe. Sorry, I'm getting a little bit too excited here this early on. Certainly, there's reason to be excited, though. I mean, this is Byzantium III, by the way. I'm not going to get it confused with Holy World, or Holy World confused with it. But this is Byzantium III, and Byzantium I, if you guys don't remember, used to be a very Protoss favorite map against Zerg. In fact, almost nobody ever won against Protosses. Right now, this map actually looks quite balanced, except for Terran versus Zerg, which is a ridiculous 3-to-1 ratio, 14 and 5 TVC. So, but in PvP, it's actually 50%. I'm not sure if that includes this game or not, but it doesn't matter. It's about 50%. That means this is going to be really, I think, a map without any obvious benefits to either player. Now, we'll see what Movie decides to do. I mean, in Game 3 against Fantasy, he also did not go standard. I don't know if you guys remembered, but he did not play a standard game against Fantasy. He was incredibly aggressive, but the only reason I felt like he lost was because Fantasy was very, very harass heavy and eventually out-harassed Movie. Movie had ridiculously good recalls and ridiculously good drops. Just played very, very well with that, but he was unable to do it in the end against the Great Fantasy, who's shown himself to be a great PvT player or TVP player. Here we're going to see a probe entering Jaedong's base. He is going to get there first. Jaedong's also, I believe, going to scout first into the base of Movie. So Jaedong, interesting enough, I think he's going for an early gas here after expanding. So we're going to see what this leads to. And Jaedong right now is going to push away that probe. Maybe a 2-hatch tech build? I mean, that's a outside possibility. We don't generally see this. I don't see a 3rd hatchery anywhere, so this is not standard timing, by the way, for this gas. It's fairly early, or perhaps it's going to be sort of late speedlings. And maybe try to build up a number of speedlings and go for some kind of run by. Oh, man! Nice work there by Movie, killing off one of Jaedong's drones. That's usually something you don't see inside of Jaedong's base, at least, or inside of any Zerg's base, but a great harassment there, and he finally gets it in the end. Perseverance pays off. Man, look at Movie with his probe skills. I gotta say, this kid is quite impressive. I mean, those are some Bisu-like skills, managing to run away from the drone. And Jaedong is now getting Lings. I'm not sure what he's thinking exactly. I don't know. Is he going to go for a 2-hatch build? That would be an incredibly risky move, especially because it's been scouted. And, you know, it's not that hard to deal with, frankly. Now, Jaedong does have excellent Mulus micro, so he might be able to get away with it anyway. Or he might be going for something even more audacious, even more unconventional, some kind of lurker drop play or something like that. Because right now we don't see a third hatchery, we don't see a third base. The standard Zerg build would have had the third hatchery before gas, and it is definitely not standard. We're seeing 2-hatch lair here, so usually that indicates Mutalisks. And we'll see. I mean, maybe Jaedong feels that Movie is not very good with that, with dealing with that kind of build. Movie definitely wants to know what's going on. He's going to send a probe over. But like I said, Movie knows. He knows about the early gas, and he is going to be suspicious. Most likely, this means he's going to go Corsairs first and make sure that he puts up a cannon or two against a very early Mutalisk Crutch, which is possible. Jaedong right now has to make sure the probe doesn't get inside so he can tech normally. He does not want to have to be delayed any further. Oh, and man, Jaedong, a little bit sloppy there, or Movie playing. Oh, actually, no, never mind. I'm sorry. Movie didn't get into that natural. He was going to the other direction. He couldn't get into the natural. I thought Jaedong let one slip. JD also has a drone hidden there on the left side, possibly thinking about his third there. And I think the probe is now dead. Yes, it is. And Jaedong, man, is going to be going for the early 2-hatch Mutalisk build. This is going to be very interesting to watch. How good is he with his Mutalisks? Back in the early days of Byzantium, Zergs used to be forced to go Mutalisks because they felt that basically this map was unplayable for them. There was a couple of small differences, but basically it made it very hard for the Zerg to defend his outside bases, whereas it also made the Protoss very easily able to create a natural expansion, both of which helped Protoss. Basically, Protoss is like easy to hold naturals, but they don't like easy to hold third or fourth or fifth bases. They want hard to hold ones because the Zerg has to out expand them after the early part of the game, and they want to be able to take out the Zerg's expansions. So in recent days, though, we haven't necessarily seen 2-hatch Mutalisks very often on this map because of the imbalances have been fixed. So the fact that Jaedong's doing this is very interesting. We got the first Corsair out, as you can see. Jaedong has finished his Spire, though, so he's going to have some Scourge and some Mutalisks coming out. And Jaedong actually building 2 hatcheries there in the bottom left. Hopefully he can keep them hidden. Maybe he's thinking about switching quickly into a Hydralisk build afterward.